Welcome to Fact or Freestyle.
People love Dave Nourie, and they always answer the phone when he calls. When we get him on Zoom, we ask him to confirm rumors.
Let's see how far down the rabbit hole we go.
It's only a flesh wound.
What's up?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going all right. I was watching John's movie.
Can you hear us, David?
Hello?
Yeah, we
I
can
just
hear
can't
you.
Anyone.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Hey,
Hey,
what's
Pete.
up?
20
What's
fingers.
up?
How many gammy fingers can you fit in one screen?
Are you guys going to Man's Chinese Theater?
Yes. Is that what Buff's called?
Oh, we're trying to keep it correct. They changed the name to the Women's Chinese Theater.
It's all of us.
So,
Hey, John, I was just watching your movie. It's pretty dope, man. Congratulations
oh,
on
you
it.
watched it? Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, be honest. Yeah, they don't like it.
So here's where I am. You just got your bike, and it was pretty cool because he knew the 20.5-inch top tube, and then they were like 86 Haros. And I was like, all right, very cool. Like the timeline is jumping back and forth, which is actually pretty cool.
Well, that was actually my producer's bikes. They were all his bikes. I didn't even put them there. Yeah, that was the producer actually put them there. That was his own bikes. So, but they're all big bikes. They were all 26-inch. They're like the modern day wheelie bikes that everyone's riding. But when he was looking at it, yes, he chose the 20.5 top tube because he was going to ride the Nyquist bike.
I got it.
Like all that. It's almost like you have to have a drink every time you see the Haro logo.
Yeah, the kid whose wheels you stole had a Haro shirt.
Oh yeah, you noticed that? Yeah, that kid is actually leading actor.
Hey, I haven't
in
seen the
American
movie yet.
Wrestler. And Dave, you haven't seen it?
No, so don't spoil it too much.
Yeah, we're just talking BMX, and the movie isn't about BMX.
And remember, it's Hollywood, so you didn't really kill that guy.
Nah, it's only a flesh wound. Sorry.
Hey, say the flesh wound thing again.
So yeah, so I'm wearing this actually today because Shane was wearing the jersey in the movie. So people were actually hitting me up today, going, "Oh, you have to bring that jersey back." So might have to do a reprint or something.
So do you get comped on how many times that gets shown? You know, like how guys would get comped when they got into magazines.
Where are you, David?
I'm in my van in Ashland. So, hey guys, we're doing a show because we feel like it's crazy times and we're missing the stories that are told. And we thought we'd bring Mr. Voelker on today and happened to get this great text. One of the best texts I could ever read because he named 3 other people that were coming to this ride tonight. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's awesome. Stories and the stuff that we would share, you know, at the comps, or if it was fact or if it was freestyle. I mean,
Hey, John was just talking about a vehicle that had been burned.
Fact or freestyle, Team Harrow burned a car at their headquarters as a sacrifice so that the gods would spare a van fire on tour. They did this every year.
That Haro, is that true? Was there one that got burned?
yes, I wasn't on that tour.
Was that Wilkerson? Was it his fault?
No, I think it was DMC and Joe Johnson and Rick Malaturno.
Oh.
I think they pretty much just drove it to the ground and never put oil in it. Is what I'm guessing. They just put gas.
Dave, the other one I think you were on was in Europe or Germany, and I remember Blyther telling the story about the doors getting ripped off one side, so he used to park the car and just scrape it across the wall. Yeah. Did you go to Europe on that one?
Yeah, I was there for that one. Yeah.
Tell us that story. That's amazing.
Okay, so we called it the Haro Club Tour, and basically what it meant was Haro screwed up. They sent us there, and for some reason, this was back when they were faxing back and forth between the distributors, and the date got reversed. So we showed up in the spring, and we're supposed to be in the fall because of the way that Americans have the date is backwards compared to Europe. Yeah. So anyhow, that's how the mix-up was. So Haro's like, well, we flew out there. you basically have one show to do, which was in France, but you guys are there for 6 weeks, just party. No, not really party up, but do what you did. And we partied up. So we rented this van and we drove with Bernd Schneider and Stefan Pronto and Lars Mars from Germany down to this event. It was like a contest and we were doing a big show. So we roll up, and you know that feeling. I'm sure all of you have, when you roll up to a spot and like people are expecting riders to show up, and they all kind of like come out of the woodwork. They all like kind of riding around the parking lot, and they're like, "Oh, the horror team's here." And so this guy that we were with opens up the door at the van. It was a sliding door. He opens it up, and then traffic started like back up behind us. And Wilkerson's like, "Hey, Brian, you got to keep going, man. There's all these cars behind us." So Brian proceeds to drive, and the door just barely hooked on this pole, just enough. We're like, "Brian, stop, stop!" And Brian just like heard the word stop and punched it, literally like punched it, and the door like pried up off the hinges and completely came off and landed on the ground. And so Wilkerson and I were like, we just walked out all casual, like picked up the door, opened the back latch, and threw the door in and drove off. And then the rest of the tour, like John was saying, we basically had to park. It was either take all of our bikes and all of our stuff up to the hotel room or whatever, or just park the van like scraping the wall wherever we could against a wall. And then the best part is that at the end, so Wilkerson rented the van under his name, but Brian was driving at the time, and the conversation and argument about who was going to drop this off at the airport was hilarious. So sure enough, they just dumped it off and didn't even check it in. They just left it with the keys in it, just sitting at the airport. And you know, Har got a call with a pretty big bill, I'm sure.
We're trying to get comfy with the.
Yeah, that's good. It's good. So Dave, I had a couple thoughts about you being on the show, and like, I just wonder, there's been this rumor that's been going around that basically
Fact or freestyle? For 3.5 years, Dave Voelker didn't have a permanent residence to prove that he lived by the creed, go big or go home.
you had no home like pretty much the whole time you were riding, because you lived by that quote, go big or go home, and you never really needed to go home. Is that
You have no home.
Yeah, it's true.
right?
Oh shit! You're a funny guy, David. Oregon does things to people.
But really, Dave, I mean, the things that I think about as far as your riding, and you're continuing to ride, I hear a little bit more about on the 29 inch that you're starting to take that up, which is awesome. But how has that been about your philosophy of just going big? I mean, that's like, I think, your brand almost.
I always talk about like when Mike was starting out, I just really thought that if you went higher than anyone, wherever you go, then you're going to be the star. You know what I mean? That's what I pictured it as. And it seemed to work to a certain point, but then Cole shows me that you didn't have to go big and you could still shine easily by doing all the click, clank, clunk shit and all that stuff. So it's interesting, you know? To me, I thought you just had to Evel Knievel that shit.
And you also, though, had a lot of technical stuff. I mean, I just remember doing, so I'm going to share a little story so everyone can kind of know, like.
Fact or freestyle? The Daves spent years at a KFC doing freestyle shows for cars at intersections to make money back in the day.
So Dave and I used to go on like pretty much any night that we were bored and we didn't know what we were going to do, and we were waiting for people to get off work to go party. We would go and hang out at the Kentucky Fried Chicken in Santee and blare our music like LL Cool J or Back in Black, ACD, like just blaring our music and riding to the traffic that was parked at the intersections. You remember this, Dave, right?
Showing off.
We were showing off.
Yep. No,
yeah,
that's when nobody had seen the sport really at that time. So
right.
We were exposing it.
Yeah, so I'm just remembering that kind of the riding. Obviously, we were doing a lot of flatland, but you always had these crazy lip tricks and like anything that you could manual, every which way. And I don't know, you just started to really bring about a lot of that stuff that you're talking, that Cole is obviously shining in. So I feel like.
Fact or freestyle? Dave Voelker invented a street style to teach kids he met on the road so they'd have something to ride wherever they were.
At that time, I kept going out on the road, and the kids were always complaining that there was nothing to ride. So I wanted to emphasize that you can do amazing things on just a curb alone. So I was always out to, ride whatever was in the presence.
Right. That's awesome.
I'm very proud that I did a 360 onto the island in a parking lot and then 360 off, because kids are totally doing that now. Like, it's so popular. They're doing it both directions, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah. Cool. Joe, what did you have to add to this conversation, my friend?
Well, I was going to say there's two things. First time I saw Dave, speaking of going big, it was at Tim's Cycle in North Olmsted in Ohio. And you carved off the ramp, pile drive on your head, and got back up and finished the show. I was like, holy shit. Does he ever get hurt?
Well, he gets hurt, he just hides it well, just like in Santee at the Meet the Street when he went on his ass. I immediately went, that fucking hurt. And he just
that was insane.
If you watch it on video, 2 steps in, you can see where it really starts hurting. It takes like 2 steps, and it's like, you can see the pain is setting in, but he fucking shrugged it off like a...
Back when the men were men, you had to pretend you weren't hurt. Always had Yeah, but I forgot what the question was.
Well, there wasn't really a question. Not really a question. I think it was just
well, I wanted to add to that. I was happy to hear that story, because usually it's like, Dave, you threw up like in the middle of the show and then you just kept on going. Because that happened a few times. See our big bikes back there?
Don't show Dino in a huddle truck.
Those are 26?
The 29ers.
29. Wow.
Yeah, they're very, very, very big bikes.
Do you taco those rims? Like, I don't know. Can you do 360s on those?
I do bunny hop 360s, but I haven't jumped 360'd it. But yeah, those spokes are really, really long, and we all know what that equals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of flex when you jump off of stuff. You can feel it all, just kind of everything. The forks flex, the rims flex. The tires, luckily, are really huge, so you get suspension out of them.
But if you busted anything so far, or is it pretty much holding up?
It's holding up. The forks are tricky, so I had to get some heavy duty ones because they're so long. Like, how do you make them not bend?
Mm-hmm.
So I got really heavy duty, thick ones. That's what she said.
All right, so we got this segment. It'd be cool if we go around. We got this segment about like what you're staking your claim is, like the theme of all of your tricks, and it's different for everyone.
That's a tough one. Michael? Let's get Michael.
Yeah, you betcha.
Well, it's, as time goes on, it kind of changes. When you're a teenager to 20, how to get that motivation and how to like approach the sport, from Voelker being an influence and telling, just go big, go high, kind of doing the Larry Egger approach of just pedaling fast and pulling up real hard and trying to, stick out just like Dave did. And so, but the driving force really, it's just honestly, it was just to get some chicks. I just wanted to get laid sometimes. See a girl and I'm like, hey man, let's try to go a little bit higher than Voelker, like approaching the suicide no-hander, how I was able to figure that out. You had to run front brakes, and it was kind of on mistake that I ended up inventing that trick and not really realizing it. And I just kind of was always the driving force of like chasing that feeling of learning something new. And so to kind of answer the question, like, how do you keep it going throughout the generations of just that feeling again of like accomplishment, and now my motivation is to show them the sport that I grew up loving so much. And that's what kind of gets me out of bed and get at the skate park, is to show them the same type of love and joy and happiness that you got from riding.
Oh, that's okay. They could see that in the movie.